Thank you for that. And I think the plan is to have a second round of questions for anyone that is interested. I now recognize the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Biggs, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank the witnesses for coming. So all of everybody but Mr. Schwartz, but I knew you were thinking this too. All of you mentioned Congress's failure to do a budget, but to resort to CRs repeatedly. That is a major problem. It is a major problem, and shame on Congress. And in my entire time here, I've only voted for one CR, and I kind of have buyer's remorse even over that one. The other thing is DOD has consistently had crappy audits. They've never passed an audit, to be frank. And it's because you have a sclerotic bureaucratic system, and they've told us, we're too big to be audited. We don't know where it's all going. That is a huge, huge problem. And so we've been focusing on procurement today, but I will just tell you that the previous administration also implemented something called project labor agreements on federal contracts. And those agreements kill competition, they inflate prices, they block non-union contractors from fair opportunities. And so the Trump administration said, we're not going to do that anymore. Claims court said, yeah, federal claims court says, that's right, you don't have to do that. Then the district court judge in D.C. now came in and said, well, wait a second, we're going to reinstate that. The result is you sideline some of the best contractors, which we're already talking about in the procurement system. You sideline many contractors, many people, many entrepreneurs may be interested, but they don't want to get into it because it is so bad. In my state, because of the PLAs, businesses are forced to abandon bids. They're forced to get into unionization, and this is a state where 97% of the workers are non-unionized. I mean, this is just absurd. So we end up rigging the system. So, Mr. Snellgrove, are you aware of PLAs?
I am aware, but I am not an expert.
Okay. Ms. Oakley, are you aware of PLAs?
Same answer.
Ms. Bodner?
Same answer.
Okay, Mr. Schwartz, it's down to you, baby.
I feel obligated not to disagree with anyone on this panel.
Very good. Well, here's the problem. The DOD, everything you guys have talked about is stuff that we've talked about before, but we don't ever make the change because you have bureaucratic stasis. There is no real attempt to move it because there is no incentive to move it. Until this body says we're going to make a change, then there will be no incentive for the agency, the department, to make the change. So we can talk till we're blue in the face about all the great ideas y'all have, but it is us. We have met the enemy. It is Congress. It is us. And until we make the change, it's not gonna happen. And so when whether it's on the PLA side or just the project side, or whether it's the procurement process, these bureaucratic overlays. And by the way, it's not that they won't just not get better, it's that they will get worse because there is no incentive to change. And what bureaucrats find incentive in doing is protecting a fiefdom, the system that's in place. They're comfortable with the status quo because that's what they know. Now, what's the status quo in the military? It's to have an acquisitions officer that's there for 6 months to 2 years, and then move them on back to the bomb squad or whatever it may be. And that is a perpetual problem that we have. But what changes it ultimately is going to have to be tied directly to funding. Because Congress, you know what Congress's response to this every time is, yeah, they've never passed an audit. Yeah, we know there's massive amounts of waste because studies have routinely said there's massive amounts of waste. But you know what we do? We say, we're going to give you more money. That's what we're going to do. We're not going to give you any kind of direction on how to fix this because why? That would cause Congress to actually think and in a bipartisan way restructure what's happening in DOD. But we're never going to do it. I'm sorry to say this body is probably irredeemable. And with that, I'll yield back.